welcome back to the channel. As you can see here, we're kind of at the beginning stages of the free agency period after the 2022-23 season. So we're gonna, as previously with the Cup, as you can kind of see from the thing on the screen. So kind of recap the 22-23 season, kind of our free agency business, and then expectations for next season, which will have a kind of important kind of note to it. Let's kind of get into the regular season. So you can see kind of these two screens kind of do a nice. This screen does a nice job kind of recapping the important stuff. So as you can see here, we finished with a 51-23-8 record, which is like 10 wins better than the Islanders actually finished with the season that season IRL. So as I mentioned, this really loved us for some reason, which that total is good enough for 110 points, which was good enough for first in the Metro President's Trophy, which we'll kind of get into in a second. So it wasn't good enough for that. And then in terms of scoring, the leading scorer was Bo Horvat with 80 points, which is 34 goals, 46 assists for 80 points. Then I'll pull up Sorokin's stats here. So he had played 54 games, so a little over half, which is mostly because he picked up like a couple of injuries. Like I think we had 6 injuries throughout the season. And I'm pretty sure he was half of them, or at least 2. Or Sorokin getting injured for various amounts of times. That's probably why he played around half of the games. But in those games, he had 33 wins, the .913 save percentage, 2.57 goals against, and 4 shutouts, which is pretty decent, I would say. So in terms of kind of the playoffs, kind of pull up the tree here. As you can see here, we got matched up against the Capitals in the first round, as the Islanders made the first round of the playoffs this season IRL. Kind of basically what I did was I played games 3 and 5, which were the 2 games that the Islanders won in their series against Carolina that year, and then simmed the rest. So we won games 1 and 2, which were simulated 4-3 and 2-1. We then won game 3, which I played by score 4-3. Capitals won game 4, 5-4, and I played game 5, which we won 2-1. So we won the series 4-1. And then got matched up against our kind of big rivals, the New York Rangers. We won that series in 7. We won game 1, 2-1. They won games 2 and 3 by 5-1 and 5-2. We then won games 4 and 5 by scores 6-5 and 4-3. The Rangers won game 6, 4-2 to force a game 7, which we won by a score of 2-1. To get us to a matchup with the Tampa Bay Lightning in the Eastern Conference Finals. And as you can see here, it kind of went as our 2 series against them in the 2 kind of COVID-y affected years went. And we lost in 7 games, unfortunately. We won game 1. Well, we didn't win game 1. Tampa Bay won game 1, 4-3. And we then won 3 in a row by 3-2, 3-0, and 4-2. And the Lightning won 3 in a row, 5-2, 4-3 in overtime, and then 2-3 in overtime. So we basically had 2 chances in game 6 and 7 to close out the series in overtime. We just needed 1 more goal to win the series, but couldn't do it, I guess. And Tampa Bay went on to win. And basically, we kind of just did like a redo of the 2020 Stanley Cup final, where when Dallas lost to Tampa, which they did again here. So Tampa Bay won the Stanley Cup. So we did it much better in the regular season than I kind of thought we would. In terms of, I guess, where I get into that, do the player stats for the playoffs. So leading scorer here was Bo Horvat again, 7 goals, 12 assists for 19 points, for 1 point per game. And then Sorokin's stats here, doesn't show his playoff stats, it's kind of annoying. But so I guess this screen's good enough. So he played all 19 games, 11 wins. We were 1 away from the Cup final. With a .909 save percentage and a 2.8 goals against average, which were probably mostly impacted by me playing the 2 games in the Washington series, because I am not good at playing as goalie. Let's just put it that way. So it's also because it's the nature of it. Like, CPU barely gets like any shots from my experience playing the games. Like CPU gets barely any shots, but they score. It kind of like tanks your save percentage and stuff. So that's why my save percentage is only a .909. But yes, that's kind of how the regular season went and whatnot. So we were so close to the Cup final once again. The Tampa Bay Lightning kind of dashed their hopes and won the Cup. President's Trophy was the Avalanche with 117 points. And then 2 teams in the conference finals. Individual awards, Nathan McKinnon was the leading scorer in the league with 95 points, hence the Art Ross trophy. He also picked up the Hart. Norris went to Victor Hedman, who finished with 84 points, so he's in the top 10 scoring in the league as a defenseman. Lady Bing went to Kucherov, who finished second in scoring with 94 points. Calder went to Michelli, I think is the way you pronounce it, from Arizona. Conn Smythe went to Kucherov. Vezina went to Thatcher Demko, as did the Jennings. The Masterton went to Miro Heiskanen. Jack Adams to Buffalo's coach, because they finally, and this is at least they made the playoffs after so long, with 99 points, finishing third in the Atlantic. Selke went to Bo Horvat, so I don't know that we won an individual award, I guess, this season. Then the Lindsay went to McKinnon, and the Rocket Richard went to Patrick Kane, who finished third in scoring. The league overall with 92 points. So that's kind of that. In terms of the draft, we didn't really have that many picks because most of them, I think, went kind of to a combination of the Bo Horvat trade. I think was our first, obviously, and then I think it was like our third round pick also, which I think may have been the Pierre Engvall trade to the Maple Leafs. So we only didn't have that many picks, and then kind of just because our scouting system was kind of buns, I only made our second and fourth round picks, which were a center and a left winger. The other ones, obviously, first and third, I didn't have, and then the rest, I didn't really have anyone scouted. The scouts were kind of bad, so I kind of just traded them away for like picks next year from the Ducks, and a pick swap. So in terms of free agency and whatnot, let's go to view contract screen, I guess, to pull that up. So the only real kind of pieces of business, I guess you need like kind of a first line-ish winger. Kind of basically someone on the left wing to replace Zach Parise, who didn't want to re-sign a new contract, and then a third pairing right defenseman to replace Scott Mayfield, who didn't want to sign a contract, thankfully, so we didn't have to sign him to like the 7-year anchor of a deal that Lou signed him to IRL, and then a backup goalie, because we basically had no cap space, and like trying to keep a goalie of Varlamov's caliber as a backup just wasn't going to work out with our limited cap space and needs in other areas, as I just said. And then kind of 13th forward was the other thing we kind of needed. So who did we get to kind of fill those? In terms of, for 13th forward, Drew Jarkara. He's not going to pop up on the main roster screen. Let's say that's who it was now. And then left wing, went with Andreas Athanasiou to kind of be our... He might end up on the first line with kind of Horvat and Barzy, or I might just put Lee up there and put him on the second line. I don't know. He's basically just a temporary thing because we have like no cap space. So I couldn't really sign like an appropriately kind of overall number forward to kind of stick on the first line. And this also kind of this coach, or kind of this, if we kind of, as I look at it too, if we get to that far, I'm basically going to try and replace him with a more defensive-minded coach. I think this guy's scheme is, I guess this guy's scheme is physical, so I don't know. We'll see kind of if we get to the point where this coach's contract runs down. I'll make a decision kind of then. But with our limited cap space, I kind of just went with that Athanasiou on a 1-year deal, I think, right? A 1-year deal, yeah. Just to see if he fits the scheme at all, and then kind of we can probably hopefully, if his kind of contracts expire and whatnot, we can kind of replace him with a better player. Then on the defense side, or we didn't really get our first choice, which I forget who it was, but our second, like we kind of got like basically ended up with like a third choice, which wasn't really too bad. I think the first choice guy was like Luke Shen, who's an 82 overall, and then I was another 81 overall, and then Justin Hall finally accepted our contract. He literally only played 10 games last year. Oof, yikes. But yeah, so Justin Hall here on a 1-year deal. That'd be our Scott Mayfield pylon replacement on the third pair with Sebastian Aho. And then in terms of goal, signed Jonas Corpusalo, who had like a year, but he was in Columbus, who was like really bad. I'm pretty sure they finished last. Yeah, they're like 4th from the bottom the entire league, 3rd from the bottom actually, 72 points. They weren't too hot, so it probably explains his kind of bad stats. But Sorokin's going to be playing the lion's share of the games anyways, so it doesn't really matter in that sense. Kind of who our backup really is, as long as they're like passable. And he's passable, and as you kind of noticed here on the screen, this is the last thing we're going to kind of touch on in terms of kind of alongside expectations for next season. I don't know, because I kind of didn't expect the Sim Engine to really like this team's setup as much as it did, where we finished with like 112 points or whatever, 110 points. So I guess I'm expecting how we kind of replace like the players who left with players of like relatively equal quality, because the players that left with Parise, who was like an 81 overall, and Mayfield was like an 82. We replaced them with like relatively equal players. And the backup goalie thing isn't a huge deal if Sorokin stays healthy. So I'm going to assume we're going to make the playoffs again, question mark, maybe. But the big thing here, as you can see, is looking here on the screen, Sorokin does not, at least at this point in time, want to sign an extension with the New York Islanders here. So this next season, assuming he doesn't change his mind midway through the season and want to sign an extension, this next season might be the last season of this Jersey Quest, so this might end up ending in failure unless we can kind of make the playoffs and go on a miracle run again. But we'll see if that happens or not, but kind of with that in mind, hopefully you enjoyed this kind of quick recap of the 22-23 season in this Jersey Quest franchise mode. I hope you check out the next episode as well, where we'll find out if we do end up winning the cup, and if not, if Sorokin changes his mind and wants to sign an extension to continue the series. Thank you. Hope you check it out.